What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here on TideWe's YouTube channel. It's cold outside. We got about -13, -7 outside today, so I'm staying inside the house today, staying warm, got a fire going, and I figured it was a great day to go ahead and prepare some of the meat that we have from this past hunting season. So today I'm going to be making some dehydrated beef jerky. Now this is a very simple recipe, very simple to make. You just need a few items to do it properly if you want it to taste good. And today I'm going to take you through those steps on how I prepare it, how I make it with my dehydrator, and hopefully pass along some tips to you guys. Before we do get into today's video, please be sure to go down and smash the subscribe button down below if you are new here, so you can stay up to date with us this year with all the new content we're going to be producing for you guys. We got an awesome year ahead of us and we're definitely looking forward to it, and we want to make sure that you guys are here with us as we announce new giveaways, new products, and other new opportunities here on TideWe's YouTube channel. So today we're going to be using deer venison for this jerky recipe. We got about 3 pounds of deer meat that we're going to be grinding up into a bowl here. Grinding the meat is going to be the first step into preparing this jerky meat. So let's go ahead, jump over here. I'll show you guys the grinder we're going to be using today, and I'll show you guys how I prepared the deer meat to go into the grinder. Here is the jerky meat that I have cut up and prepared today to get ground up. Now, how I prepared this was I basically laid the cuts out, tried to get all the silver skin off, all that fatty meat, take all that stuff off because that's going to become chewy in your jerky, and that's definitely something that you're not going to want. Once you have all your meat ready to go, cut up into smaller chunks, depending on the size of your grinder to fit down the funnel there, you're basically good to go to start grinding this stuff. So there's not much preparation into grinding. There's really no special way to do this. Basically just elevate your grinder if need be, have a bowl, make sure you have a bowl underneath the grinder itself, and start shoving this meat in. Turn the grinder on and start shoving this meat in and grind it up. So I like to go ahead and grind the meat twice. So I'll actually send it through the grinder once, and then I'll send it through a second time. This is just gonna make sure that any silver skin that is left in the meat or fatty parts get ground up real nicely and don't become real chewy when you dehydrate the meat. So we'll go ahead, we'll plug this grinder in, we'll get to grinding, and I'll show you guys how this works. Now that we have it ground at once, I'm gonna put the meat actually back up onto this hopper and shove it down and put it through a second time just to make it a little more coarse. Once you get everything ground up, this is basically what your meat's gonna look like. It's almost gonna look like ground beef. And now this meat is now ready basically to be seasoned. So the next step of this jerky process is actually to season the meat. And the seasoning that we're gonna be using today is a seasoning that I personally like. You can pick this up at most grocery stores, local grocery stores around us in Wisconsin at least. This is the High Mountain Jerky cure and seasoning. I like this stuff. It comes in a couple of different flavors. It gives you the cure and it gives you the seasoning that you need to basically make 15 pounds of meat. So this is the stuff I like. We're gonna be using a hickory blend today. I'll kind of run through the steps on how to season the meat properly with the cure and the seasonings that are provided with the box of the High Mountain seasoning. Obviously, there's many of different brands out there, but what I'm gonna be demonstrating today is gonna be the High Mountain recipe. So let's go ahead and start seasoning this meat. So inside your High Mountain Jerky seasoning package, you're gonna see some items in here. You're gonna see a bag of cure. This is the sprinkle cure that you're gonna put on the meat. Then you're also going to have the seasoning. To make things a little easier, if you are doing muscle meat cuts or anything like that, you're gonna have a little sprinkle jar inside of that High Mountain package too as well. As you can see, the last time I used this, I didn't empty it. It's actually gotten a little hard in there, but we'll clean that out. We're probably not actually going to use this. We're just going to take measurements out of the seasoning and out of the cure to get the proper amount needed for 3 pounds of meat. So High Mountain makes it very easy to understand how much seasoning and how much cure you need for the poundage of meat that you have. There's a table on the paper that is included with the box, basically letting you know how much you're going to need. So for 3 pounds of meat, we're going to need about 2 tablespoons and a half teaspoon of the seasoning, and then we're gonna need about 2 tablespoons of the cure. All right, so we got some teaspoons and tablespoons here. Basically, we're just gonna measure out the amount of seasoning that we need, put it into the meat. Then we're gonna measure out the amount of cure that we need, put it in the meat, and then kind of just ground it all together. For 3 pounds of meat, this is calling for 2 tablespoons of seasoning. So we're gonna go ahead, put 2 tablespoons of seasoning in our meat. Try to get the most level tablespoon, and we're just gonna kind of sprinkle it over the top. And I'm just gonna do a little extra. I always kind of like to over season just a tad for taste at the end. So I'm just gonna put about a half a tablespoon in there along with that hickory. Then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of cure. Now you want to be sure that you're not over curing your meat. This is basically just a binder. This is what's gonna help kind of bind the meat together as you sift it all together and put it into a jerky gun and put it on the dehydrator. So we're gonna throw 2 tablespoons of cure in that meat, and we're gonna go ahead and basically just smush this stuff together, get it all bound, and make sure that seasoning and that cure is well spread throughout the entire 3 pounds of meat. Basically, you'll know this meat is ready when the meat turns darker and it's gonna get really stiff. Once you get that stiffness that you're looking for, basically you can set this meat aside in the refrigerator for 24 hours, and then it'll be ready to gun out onto the dehydrator. I've been kneading the meat for about 5 minutes now. This stuff is, it's ready, it's good to go. So now basically all we have to do is I'm gonna slap a cover on this bowl, throw it in the fridge for 24 hours, and then we'll be ready to gun this out onto the dehydrator. So the next step, or step 3 in the jerky making process, is to refrigerate this now for 24 hours. I should say up to 24 hours. You can definitely go longer, you can definitely go shorter depending on how quickly you want to get your jerky done, but I normally go 24 full hours just to make sure that seasoning really sinks into the meat and you're getting good flavor after this meat is dehydrated. So I'm going to put a cover on this, slap it in the fridge for 24 hours, and we will see you tomorrow. All right, everybody, it is the next day, thus 24 hours after we prepared our meat for dehydrating. Yes, we're ready to make some beef jerky. So the materials that I got for this next step are a Nesco dehydrator. This is a circular dehydrator. I like this one. I feel like it dehydrates the meat pretty thoroughly. I'll go through kind of halfway through the process. Just flip my trays to be sure, but I do like the way that this Nesco dehydrates the meat. So this is the one that I've been using for a couple of years now. It works great for me. There's a lot of different brands out there, but this is just the one I use. I'm not sponsored by it. This is just a dehydrator that I've been having success with. The second tool that will help you out with this next step is definitely something you're gonna want, not necessarily need. It's definitely gonna make the process easier, is a jerky gun. These things are pretty affordable at your local sporting goods stores. I think I picked this one up for 30 bucks, and it comes with a couple different tips. Even came with some jerky seasoning in the box too as well. So this is an LEM jerky gun. LEM. This thing works perfect. Basically, you fill the hopper up with the meat we mixed yesterday, and then it works like a caulk gun. You just kind of squirt out that meat, comes right out of the tip, makes a perfect jerky rectangle. You can pretty much make them, you can make your strips as long as you want them. You just pump it out of this gun. So that's how I'm gonna be doing this today. Last and final thing that you're gonna need is the meat that we prepared yesterday. So here it is. As you can see, it's basically just a brown blob of meat. That's perfect. It smells like hickory, it's cold, and it's ready to go onto the dehydrator. So I'm gonna go ahead, fill the hopper up with this meat, and then pump it out onto the trays. Once you got this thing jammed packed with meat, you're ready to go. You can put the cover back on this thing and we can start pumping as if it were a caulk gun. Now you can see the jerky's gonna start coming out there. We're just gonna go on the tray here and make jerky strips in the desired length that you choose. I like to make them a little longer. So this is what one tray will look like. We got 6 more to fill up, and then we can go ahead and start dehydrating this meat. But this is what the end product on your tray will look like after you get done pumping it out of the jerky gun. All right, well, we got all of our venison jerky on the trays, ready to go. We can basically get this thing set on the dehydrator, plug it in, and start dehydrating. So most jerky that you dehydrate like this will only take 4 to 5 hours. I like to dehydrate it on 165 degrees just to get that internal temperature up a little quicker. Some people dehydrate jerky at 145 for longer duration of time. I've always had the best luck going at 165 degrees for about 4 to 5 hours. You basically just have to check on that jerky every couple hours and make sure that you're not over dehydrating it. You want that jerky to kind of split apart, but not just be super brittle that it breaks right in half. So you want to be able to squeeze it, bend it just a little bit so that it cracks. So we're gonna go ahead, get this thing on the Nesco here, plug it in, get it going at 165 degrees and check on it every couple hours, see how it's doing. So I'm gonna get this thing set up and start dehydrating, and we'll see you guys in about probably 4.5 to 5 hours. Well, welcome back. It's actually the next day. I was dehydrating that jerky, kind of ran out of time to film the video, so when the jerky got done, I just kind of set it aside. But the jerky is finished, and it tastes phenomenal. So, like I said, this is the jerky itself. You kind of want to make sure that before you take it off the dehydrator that you bend it, you crack it. Like I was saying previously, you don't really want that jerky to bend and just crack. That's going to mean you dehydrated it a little too much. You want that jerky to still kind of be intact when you bend it. You want to see those strands just kind of slowly starting to rip apart, and you want to be able to bend it without it basically snapping in half. So if I go ahead, we can go ahead and bend that jerky all the way. As you can see, it's not actually snapping right in half. And if I do kind of try to crack it, see it kind of just bends over, folds over, but doesn't actually snap in half. That's gonna let you know that the jerky's done perfectly. It's gonna be warm when you're trying to bend it, so you're gonna see a lot more of those strands kind of break apart. Start seeing that, you can basically unplug the dehydrator, let that stuff sit at room temperature. Don't just throw it in the refrigerator right away. Let that stuff sit at room temperature until it's completely cooled. Then you can throw it in a bag and put it into your refrigerator. So any type of jerky that you make will have a shelf life outside of the refrigerator, but you're not going to get as long of a shelf life as if you were to put it in the refrigerator. So a lot of times what I'll do when I'm making jerky like this, I'll make a bunch of it, and then I'll actually vacuum seal big packs of it and throw it into the freezer. So just so I get a longer shelf life out of that jerky. Obviously 3 pounds of jerky makes quite a bit, but when you start getting into 5 or 10 pounds of jerky, you're gonna have a lot of jerky made, and you don't want all that stuff to go bad on you. So it is good to vacuum seal, throw in the freezer for quite some time. You can get about 2 to 3 weeks of life out of your jerky if you just toss it in the refrigerator. It'll be good to go, good to eat for quite some time. It'll still taste good after the 3 weeks, but it's really gonna start to kind of get weird after that. So try to be sure that you're properly using the right amount of jerky that you can consume within the couple of weeks that it's going to last in your refrigerator. I like to share it with friends. It's always good stuff to have around, especially if you got gatherings, you go into parties, anything like that. It's always fun to bring some jerky along. Fishing trips, hunting trips, something to chew on. It's good. It's very, very addicting. Once you have one piece, you're always going to want more. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video on how to make venison jerky. Like I said, again, this is some deer that I've got over the past hunting season. If you guys would like to see more wild game feed, kind of like instructional videos like this on different types of recipes, or you want to see me try something insanely new to me, leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think I should try next. If you got some awesome jerky recipes, leave them listed down below. Maybe I'll choose one and do it on the next video. So I'm gonna snack on some beef jerky and go edit this video for you guys. So thank you again so much for watching. If you liked this video, please go down, smash the subscribe button down below. As always, keep living your passion. I'm Cody from TideWe, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.